B2A Solutions is your trusted IT consulting company located in the heart of Europe. We design, build, and maintain scalable and user-friendly solutions tailored to your needs. Want to join a team that is shaping the future of the JavaScript ecosystem in Belgium? A team involved in the community by organizing events and contributing to open source? Join B2A Solutions now.
We're going to end in beauty with Eleftheria Batsou. She's by day, as it's written here, by day she is a community manager at Hashnode, right? And then everyone is wondering, what do you do by night? Yeah, well, by night, you're curious now, aren't you? By night, she is a developer and user experience researcher. Very experienced also in creating online courses, I've been told, and you can find your courses on Udemy and Skillshare. Yeah, that's impressive. Today she's going to talk about it's easy to create good-looking products, but what about useful ones? Let's give a big round of applause for Eleftheria Batsou.
All right. Hi, everyone. Nice to have you here. I hope that you are as excited as I am about this talk. I know it's the last one, but I hope that you still have some energy. Yeah, thank you. Nice. Awesome. All right, we already had many great technical talks, and we just had a very beautiful talk about accessibility. And the last phrase was about usefulness, and that's, I thought my presentation was up. And that's what we are going to talk about. That's what we are going to talk here as well. Okay, we will. Yes, awesome, great. Well, it's easy to create good-looking products, but how about useful ones? So I'm Eleftheria, I'm a community manager at Hashnode. Hashnode is a free blogging platform, and if you have any questions, you can find me on my social media. I'm very active there, especially on Twitter, or you can also send me an email, and I'm always glad to chat more with you. Okay, today we are going to see UI, UX, what is user experience, what is user interface, and we are also going to see 10 heuristics. This is 10 tips about how to make a product more useful. And we will talk in the end about do's and don'ts of UX and good and bad of UI. Again, you will not see any code here, but I guess that most of you are working either in companies or on your own. Maybe you have some cool idea that you want to develop and you don't have a dedicated designer for that. Or even if you are in a company, maybe you still don't have a dedicated designer to do all the work for you, and you have to make a lot of decisions about design. So I hope that this talk will help you make better decisions so you will have better products, and products that are not only beautiful, but also are very useful. I will start with UX versus UI. And although there is an ocean of content out there about UI and UX, today we will try to do something a little bit different. We will try to see these two terms from two different angles, from the angles of the user and from the angle of the developer/designer. And we will start from the perspective of users because maybe it's a little bit easier to understand that. So from the perspective of the user interface is what they see. Okay, and the whole experience is localized in a device, so we can see like what they are doing. But from the other hand, user experience is what they feel, and the whole experience is localized externally. So if you look their face, their body, their hands, we can understand if something is pleasurable or not. Like if they are cracking a smile, I know that they like the app. If they are like this, we know that they don't like the app. So that is from the perspective of the user, but what about the perspective of the designer/developer? Here, things are a bit more complicated, so I will start with an analogy. User interface is what we can see, but it's not only that. For example, an icicle, we can see the top of the icicle from very far away. But it's not only that. Beneath that, there is a huge mountain. And that's what UX is. UX is what holds everything together. So yes, user interface is what you can see and interact with, but user experience is what you see alongside with what you can't see and what holds everything together. And I will also give you a short example. I'm pretty sure everyone will have some similar experiences when we are getting on a ride-sharing app, like let's not name them. What would you prefer? Having an app that doesn't let you or doesn't show you your driver in real time, doesn't show your location, doesn't let you save your favorite destination, doesn't allow you to pick up an extra friend or something? Or would you prefer another app that it would allow you to do all this stuff? It will show you in real time where you are, your driver is, you can pay however you want, you can save your favorite destinations. And I'm pretty sure that the answer here is quite easy. Yes, you would choose the second app. But my point here is that sometimes we already have our products, and because we are using them all the time, we think that they are great. And we think that everything is fast, we don't have bugs, everything is really on point. But imagine giving the same product to a user. And this user shouldn't be your mom or your best friend or your partner. It should be someone else. And ask them to start with simple things. Ask them to do something simple. Like, can you do the X thing, and then the Y thing, and then advance a little bit. And really observe them. The key word here is observe. Observe them. Can they really do those actions? And when they are doing these actions, how do they look? Are they happy? Are they not happy? What's going on? Just keep that in mind. All right, very quickly, let's see what does a UX designer do. And we will start with a quick history lesson. I know you probably didn't expect that, and you don't like history. But it's important in that case. We will talk about Apple's engineer, Don Norman. So Don Norman started as an electrical engineer, and then he did a master in psychology. And he's a pioneer or the father of UX, because he was the first one that really observed the users. The very first one, and that's very, very important. After that, he started working in Apple, and we have it as it is right now. He also has many, many excellent books. I recommend you this one, The Design of Everyday Things. You can find it for free. And he also has many other great books that I would really suggest you to take a look at it. You don't have to be a designer in order to understand them. Like, the examples are really simple, and everyone can learn something from them. Okay, let's go back to my original question. What does a UX designer do? The answer is not that simple. They are doing a million of things, and here in this pyramid, I just have the levels of the things that they are maybe doing. I have more details as well. I will read a few of them, but it's not even only the stuff that I've written here. There are even more. So they will do in the first layer, I will start from bottom to top. They will do things such as user interviews, user behavior studies, focus group, and surveys. And when all of these things are done, then they will continue with creating user personas, user stories, empathy maps, and a lot more. Then if we continue a little bit more in the content strategy, we have writing product copy and microcopy, selecting the right wording, etc., etc. Some people believe that this is a bit boring, but it's not. It's really, really important and very crucial. And we will continue with another even more crucial part, the information architecture. Here, the designer will have to do things as creating card sortings, like sitemaps, wireframes, user flows, and more stuff. And in the top two layers, the direction design and the visual design, I'm not going to get into a lot of details here, because we will see those two layers a bit later in my presentation. So by far, we covered the basics of UX, of user experience, and we will continue with UI, user interface, and we will try to answer the same questions. So we'll start with what is UI. And a lot of people here, I know, trust me, will say that it's colors, maybe buttons, maybe images, maybe some people, they will even tell you typography. But I'm here to tell you that it's not only that. It's much, much more. And I will try to prove my points with a couple of examples. So, UI is also audible. We can hear things, we can shout to machines, and they will tell us answers, and they will do complicated stuff about us. This is a voice user interface example. We have that, and that's not colors, that's not images, that's not typography. And if we go a little bit in the back, yes, we have some other examples, like we all know what that is. But here the focus was not on colors, was not on buttons, was not on typography. It was just to make it practical. All right, so what does a UI designer do? Again, we have the same pyramid here, but we will focus on the top two layers. We have the interaction design and the visual design. So in the interaction design, yes, we will focus on buttons, colors, and typography, and things like that. But a UI designer has to be very good with typography, color theory, iconography, illustration, visual hierarchy, and a lot more. The list could go on. And then we have the visual design, which here the focus is on possible variations of a screen and how it will respond to a user's input. And also a designer has to be really good with applying design patterns effectively, creating component libraries, etc., etc. All right, so now we know what UX is, we kind of know what UI is, and I hope that we have understood that these two terms are very broad and are very different. From the user's perspective, there are some similarities, but from the designer's perspective, for sure, these two terms cannot be really defined because UI wouldn't be where it is if we didn't have UX. So some people will say that their company needs only a UI designer. No, that's wrong because without a UX person, we can't have a UI designer. We need both, and if we can't have both, I would personally suggest to start from a UX researcher. And then from the researcher, we could continue with a UI designer. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay, now let's talk about heuristics. This is our second part. Let's see what is heuristics and why are they important and how we can use them. Heuristics, in a nutshell, is making informations with the things that we already have. Okay, and there are many heuristics. There are a set of heuristics, but we will focus only on the heuristic analysis, which is the one that you can see in the third column. The results pretty much is the same. It doesn't really matter which method you will pick, but the last one is considered the easier for people like us. And when I say people like us, I mean developers that we are not expertise in design. That's what I mean. Okay, we have 10 usability heuristics. So let's say we have 10 tips. These tips by no means are coming from me. They are coming from Jacob Nielsen and Don Norman, and they were manifested in 1995. So let's see what these two gentlemen had to say. The first rule is visibility of system status. So let's start with an example. Imagine like opening up your phone, yeah. The first thing that you will see as you will open it is the time, the date, notifications, messages, emails, I don't know, the time. I already said that, yeah. So yeah, imagine now how would it be if you couldn't see all those informations? How would you feel? You will feel kind of naked, right? We want to see things. So with your product, try to show the things that the user wants to see. You shouldn't make your user searching for things. The things that it should be visible, they should be in the first screen. And that's the first rule. Let's continue with the second one, which is match between the system and the real world. The design, it's called this homomorphism design, and it started like that. So in order to make things easy, we would try to make them look like in real life. For example, we have a folder in our phones. We have a compass in our phones. That doesn't mean that we actually have a real compass. But that's how the design started. So keep that in mind when you have something new or you have something complicated. Maybe an icon that looks like in real life could really help your users. The third tip is user control and freedom. Either we want it or not, our users will make mistakes. And sometimes we think that we have the perfect product, and sometimes we think that our users are not very clever. I'm trying to be polite here. And they will make mistakes, okay? But the thing that we want for sure is letting them undo the bad thing they did. For example, have the undo, have a back button, have a restore action, have something like that they will really help them go back. And we also have something similar that I will show you in a bit. Now let's continue with one of my favorite tips, which is consistency and standards. I have one more, but this is one of my favorites, consistency and standard. Just because something is new or different doesn't mean it's good. 90% of the people that they will use your product, that they already use something somehow similar. So they already know how something works. You don't want to change everything. Have you ever wondered, like, why copy-paste? It works everywhere the same. Should you change that? Nope. Nope. Okay, error prevention. And here, again, we have two kinds of errors. We have mistakes and slips. I will start with slips. So it's the case I mentioned earlier, that either we want it or not, our users will make mistakes. Maybe they're not very careful, maybe they are clicking something very quickly and they're not paying much attention. That's okay. We already have prevent for that, like we have our emergency exit, and that's okay. But there is also another kind of errors, and this is mistakes. This is a bit more serious because it means that the problem is not with our user, but the problem is with us. And again, in this case, when I say us, it means the team who designed the product. Maybe they didn't think of something, and that's why the user is not able to do what she are supposed to do. And we should go one step back, really talk with our team or talk to ourselves we are alone, and check up or redesign something, and the problem hopefully will go away. And we have also recognition rather than recall. We always want to give the option of recognition to our user. And imagine like a big system in this case, that the user have to type something or they have to search about something. If they can't remember or if they can't find things, and this is, by the way, recall, this is bad, and we definitely don't want this. But imagine a system that we could show to our users maybe icons, maybe images, maybe some text, in order to help them recall something, recognize something, and it would be much easier for them to use our product. So always aim for recognition. And in this case, I have an example of Coursera, because I believe that they are doing a great job, but also many other sites lately are doing an excellent job as well. And we will continue with flexibility and efficiency of use. You should always try to think all of your users. That's quite impossible, I know, especially if you have a big product or many people are using your product. So let's start with two categories: the first-time users and the users that are more experienced. Let's call them power users. So for the first-time users, you want things for them to be extra easy. Maybe you want some pop-ups to show some information or some more details. You want things to go as smoothly as possible. But in the other case of your more expert users, the more power users, you want things to be quick, you want things to be effective, you want maybe to allow your users to connect your product with something else, maybe, I don't know, to share that product with someone else. It depends on what it is. So you want to have things for both categories. Don't forget one or another category. And we will continue with rule number 8, which is aesthetic and minimal design. And this is also the second favorite of mine. It's really, really important because we are not designers. At least the minimum thing that we can try to do is to keep it white. Yes, keep it white. When you're designing a website, don't throw all the colors in there. Don't throw all the images in there. Don't throw weird stuff in there. Don't throw music. Don't throw a video. For first, keep it white, keep it big, and keep it minimal. That's my best tip that I can offer you. If you want to continue and then add some colors, there are many tools that they can help you with better color combinations. Because with color combinations, we have to admit we are not good. Okay? And then with typography, we want the people to be able to read what we wrote. I see some websites, they have beautiful typography, but it's so complicated that no one can read it. So that's, another good tip. Rule number 9, help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. Users, as we said, they will make errors, but the best thing that we can do is help them, and even better if we can prevent those errors. And we have here some examples that, again, I'm pretty sure you probably have seen something similar. We definitely don't want errors like error line. Okay, no one will understand that. We want things that they will help your user. And the second one, is a better example. I think Gmail also does a really good job. For example, if you go to attach something and you haven't attached it, it will say, are you sure you want to send it? You wrote attach and you haven't done that. Anyway, keep that in mind as well. And let's move on to rule number 10, which is help and documentation. We want our product to be as good as possible and as easy as possible and as useful as possible, but sometimes we will need some extra help or our users will need some extra help. You don't have to do something big or something crazy. Something small with an easy language is okay. And Trello, Slack, they are doing really good they are doing a really good job in that field, so you could have a look at these examples as well. So these were our 10 rules. We will continue very quickly with 2 more sections. The first one is the do's and don'ts of UX. You will see some tips and let's talk about these tips. First of all, don't assume you know what users want. No. Also, you are not the user of your product. That's very important because you have developed that product, you have designed that product. This doesn't make you a user. Really give your product to someone else. Again, not your mother, not your partner. Don't follow the hippo at the room. And hippo stands for the highest paid person's opinion, aka your manager. Don't do that. They pay you because they want to know your opinion, and you have to tell your opinion. You have to be clear and loud about your opinion. Of course, do your research so you'll have a good opinion. Do make the time and effort for user research. And I guess that's pretty obvious. Don't just create a list of methods to check off. It's not a list. Don't focus on what people say, on what people do, rather than what they say. Observe people. That was one of the first things that I mentioned. Really observe them, how they are using your product. And if you can only do one thing, do conduct user testing. Don't overlook existing insight from customer care representatives. And that's very important again. Recently, I had the chance to look at our customer care representatives for the company that I work, and there were things that I never thought of, like people were asking things or they didn't know how to do something that for us, the developers, the designers, or the marketing people, maybe they were kind of obvious for us. But that was bad on our side. We should have prevent for those things. So I would encourage you, if you have the chance to look at your support system or something like that, do that. You will find things that you didn't expect. And of course, do collaborate. You're not alone, just collaborate. And do find someone qualified to do your research or be a more qualified person yourself. And I hope that with these tips, I helped you in that direction. And let's go through our last part. Again, it will be a quick one. I hope everyone is still okay, which is the good and bad of UI. Let's do a quick test to see in which category you are. I don't want you to answer to me, but maybe you could answer to yourself. The designer's mindset. So, the good designer listens to everyone, from decision makers, team members, and stakeholders, whereas the bad one judges and suggests solutions all the time. So, which one are you? The good designer questions the status quo and digs deep to find out real problems and needs, whereas the bad one follows the rule of we've always done it that way and tries to fix symptoms only. The good one takes time to ask about what is missing and is always uncertain about his understandings and designs, whereas the bad one follows his assumptions and is always certain about his work. Now, the good one loves to be wrong and seeks feedback, whereas the bad one loves to be always right and seeks praise. The good one leads, whereas the bad one follows. That was it. I hope that you enjoyed my talk. Thank you very much. If you have any questions.
B2A Solutions is your trusted IT consulting company located in the heart of Europe. We design, build, and maintain scalable and user-friendly solutions tailored to your needs. Want to join a team that is shaping the future of the JavaScript ecosystem in Belgium? A team involved in the community by organizing events and contributing to open source? Join B2A Solutions now.